In the winter, the water looks very cold and dark blue. Days can be really harsh. It's really hard work. There are thousands of people that have contributed to make Island Creek what it is today. Native Americans would come to Duxbury to fish in the bay and to farm here, and Europeans, settled here, and that tradition carried on until the 20th century. There was definitely two classes of people here. There were the people that had the haves and the have-nots, and the people that fished and farmed here really took care of the local community. We've found a new way to fish and farm to honor that heritage with kind of a new spin with aquaculture. And even as hard as it is and as cold as it can be, each season has their own kind of character. If you're passionate about it and love it, you enjoy it. I'm Skip Bennett. So growing up, I spent a lot of time on Duxbury Bay, and I was very passionate about it. I loved being on the water. I loved the freedom, the independence, the physical work. I understood that it was my passion, that was what I wanted to do. There was Hurricane Bob wiped out every single mussel in Duxbury Bay. I think that for me was the time when I realized that as much as I loved shell fishing and working on the bay, that it was very unreliable. I heard about some guys out in Wellfleet that were growing clams. So that to me sounded more like a business, something that you would have some control over. Bought a small amount of clam seed, and in 1990, I started growing shellfish in Duxbury Bay. I was ready to have my biggest harvest, and I got wiped out by a parasite. So all of my clams died. I always had the attitude that everything happens for a reason. There was some strange reason why this had happened to me. I heard about a guy up in Maine that was growing oysters and selling oyster seed. I didn't even know if the oysters would grow in Duxbury Bay because there were no wild oysters in Duxbury. And they did really well. It turned out that Duxbury is a phenomenal place to grow oysters. This small, kind of unique area in Cape Cod Bay became really like the Napa Valley of oyster farming. Innovation, the way that things have changed over a period of time since I started growing shellfish, we've just added so much, the hatchery and the land-based nursery. Probably the biggest threat to Duxbury Bay is nitrogen loading. So nitrogen is really the limiting factor of algal blooms. You get these excessive algal blooms which shade out plant life, lower dissolved oxygen, and really can make the environment inhospitable. Oysters are not only efficient at removing the algal blooms, the plankton, but they can also remove the nitrogen. So one oyster filters about 50 gallons of water a day. There's probably about 30 million in Duxbury Bay right now. So you can imagine the impact that has on water clarity and water quality. When I see really great oysters that are growing really well and they're happy, that's important because it is an indication of how healthy our bay is. The state recognized that there was a lot of economic value in having people out there shellfishing. There's over 100 people that are working out there, and they're shopping at the local stores. All the dollars that are earned here on the farms are spent locally, and they ripple through the economy. Aquaculture has an extremely high economic multiplier because of people who work here have to live here. Coming in off the water and seeing several hundred people down at the raw bar or the patio looking out at the water, it's amazing to see all those people out there Not only enjoying the oysters that we grow, but looking out over the bay that produces those oysters. I farmed on Duxbury Bay for 8 years alone. And now there's, 25 farms out there and over 100 people working out there. Not to mention all the people that are coming here to Duxbury for the oysters. And it's not just the patio, it's going to the local store and seeing oyster merchandise. It's amazing that Duxbury has become this oyster town. Well, you meet people, anywhere in the country and tell them you're from Duxbury and they say, oh, that's where the oysters come from. Oyster farming it's a win-win. That it's a win for the consumers, the environment, it's a win for the people working in the industry and the local economy, the coastal community. The bottom line is everybody wins.